reading the emotional mood. Folks, we're going to go into draft and see what happens in our first game of the day between TT and Invictus Gaming. Of course, remember, folks, no more Fearless Draft. It is all about standard. All of our champions will be available throughout the entire series. TT on the blue side, they are not going to get access to the first string of AD carries that they normally like to play towards in regards to Tristana and that Lucian. Might leave that Corki as a first pick, and Nani might go towards the Yone as an answer beyond that point. He's also a LeBlanc player, so that could be now the kind of flavor of what our mid lane is going to be beyond this point. Instead, Baytron, we said that, hey, it really is about his brand in terms of his consistency. That's been what he's been looking good at, and they looked at him first.
To see what the response will be from Invictus Gaming. They've got a few options to the name. I'll note the Corki is still up and available, but they're debating a couple other options yet, so we'll just hold and see what the decisions are. I feel like the AD mid laner plus AP jungle has been a pretty standard option. They will decide the Yone is the way forwards, not the Corki. Still strictly a flex, of course, because YSKM, being the player he is, may well consider taking that towards the top lane. They'll lock in a Lilia as well to go alongside it, so there is your lovers duo of sorts if you follow your Spirit Blossom lore.
True. Well, no, that's also in the regular lore too, in some ways, because Yone was saved by Lilia.
That's right.
So that's not just a Spirit Blossom thing. It is elsewhere too.
I guess I think of it because of the
no, they share
event.
the skins. Yeah, they do share those skins. Anyway, IG, they had themselves that Yone, which we kind of considered was going to come through. Now for TT, expecting if they are going to lock in this Twisted Fate, they're probably going to lock in the Corki as well. That would end up kind of matching out their AD AP between mid and jungle. That has been the standard so far. Could also go for the Jace, but no. Okay, so we're changing things up. Twisted Fate mid, it looks like, and then it's going to be the Cannon likely into top lane.
I was wondering that because, of course, Yukalo of years past was a big Twisted Fate player. Maybe feeling like the matchup into the Yone is a pretty solid one, is happy to run it. Still, a little bit of an unusual sight in this day and age to see the Twisted Fate put towards the mid lane. Assuming it'll still be the AD variant, or they're going to be very AP heavy. On the other side, the Jax is locked in, so that will be going towards YSKM. We've got our laners locked in. It's a very brawly comp from both sides.
So now I assume Twisted Fate has to be mid lane, the Cannon has to be top lane. Cannon does well into Jax. I'm surprised that the Jax is locked in. YSKM is one of his, like, you know, four horsemen of the Apocalypse champions. He has what is his Camille, his Jax, his Aurelia, and his Fiora. Those are the four which we look towards for YSKM. But yeah, the Jax does quite poorly into the Cannon. I'm surprised that goes through. So Hoya likely going to take a winning matchup there. Twisted Fate into Yone. Yone is not awful into TF. I think that's a competitive matchup. So it's not like mid lane, I think, is going to go completely one way or the other without significant jungle intervention. When it comes to the big team fights already, though, we're already seeing really big differences between that ability to kind of like flank in that team fight and stand still. I think that at TT you have the Cannon on the flank, on the other side you have Yone, and you have the Jax, which can do that too. So already the team fights later on can be very, very intricate.
AoE magic damage from Thunder Talk when you add in the brand on top of that Cannon, and it is, as you said, be a little bit more about finding the really solid flank angles from IG, which can be pretty deadly in and of themselves. It's bot lane bans that have come on through in the second phase bans. I don't think that should surprise anyone. A couple key bans away from each. I'll note particularly the Draven, of course, our big player of that champion, does get in hold of the Ezreal this game, especially, I think, considering his side lane is maybe requiring a little more attention from his jungler. Something with a little bit more self-reliability, self-peel is a good option. 1xN goes towards the Zeri, though. They might be looking for something like an engaged champion in the form of the Alistair as a last
So
pick.
now the problem is, what happens if you lock in... Well, okay, so if you lock in Braum right now, I think that TT lose bot lane laning phase, which is a bit of a problem. They're hovering over the Rel, which is a big engaged champion for Vampire. Normally, I'd say you'd need that big engaged piece, but I think when you have already the, you know, the Jax, the Yone, and the Lilia, I think maybe that would have been a bit too much. They go towards the Nautilus, which means that you're kind of going even in lane now. Ezreal Nautilus is fine. I think they maybe could have shut down Feather a lot harder with something like that Braum pick all the same, though. Not to be the case. TT, they have themselves a whole lot of squish and then a stake up front in that Alistair, which is going to try and keep itself off of those supermarket shelves. IG, I think if they have a huge flank composition again, this is something which they've shown before. If Nani and YSKM can get into side lanes, they can start winning those side lanes and go into fights. That is their bread and butter. I think IG, they have shown us that this is their style. This is good stuff for them. TT need to make sure that they don't lose through side lanes the way that they were doing in that group stage. Otherwise, IG are going to run away with this.
completely agree. And I'm looking at the comps, and there's some mirrors there in terms of what the teams want to do. Look, you've got the flank from the cannon, big AoE magic damage from the jungle versus the Lilia, and all of these things, even the Zeri and the Ezreal in terms of their own mobility, not dissimilar in some of their archetype, even if obviously the way they play out is somewhat different. But I have to feel, looking at the side of IG's comps, like, well, Nani on the Yone, who of course was a top lane player of the champion way back before he role swapped, and then the YSKM on a comfort pick in the Jax. This gets quite interesting, because I feel one team gets a lead and could get very tricky the moment those objectives start spawning a bit more regularly. So
first game of the series down in the Nirvana group, down in the grunge of the teams which lost out in the group stage. You only play each other once. This will be a single round robin best of 3, so this will be the only time these two teams face each other. Only chance to get themselves a leg up. IG already winning their first series, TT losing their first. They would, well, I think one of them wants to continue that trend. TT want to catch up and pick up that slack.
Heading towards the Rift very shortly. Two pretty volatile team comps, I think it's fair to say. Champions there. Crowd will begin to cry out in defense and support of their various teams. Gyos completed. A lot of very vocal support there for Invictus Gaming. Shout out to the leader of the Gyos there is. Definitely putting the whole of their lungs into that one.
You get that occasionally, I appreciate that. So, folks, we're going to get ourselves onto the Rift here. Anything interesting in the runes? No, not especially. So that's just going to be standard across the board. Of course, Ezreal goes towards the Jack of all trades, because he just gets weird stats all across the place. IG are going for a late invade. They do have themselves that Nautilus level 1. You see that TT? They're sniffing out. Beitron might get caught here. They spot Griffith onto that. That's Vampire going forwards.
Beitron gets away. Vampire ends up hooking the wall, and that's unfortunate. Threat flash for the triple headbutt. Pulve, I apologize. There's no headbutt, but they will still be banging their heads into the walls of TT's jungle. IG are so deep. A gold card afterwards. GLFS, good luck. And this game is over.
Oh, man. IG watch their support hook the level 1 into Doom. Vampire flashes, fails the hook, and throws the team under the bus. Jungler dead, support dead, TT on the roll.
I don't know really what to say. That's rough to see. It's a kill on the Twisted Fate, a kill on the Zeri before anything can kick off. I'll note Feather is at half HP and hasn't had a chance to reset. So that might hurt here in terms of pressure in the lane, because they've got the gold, they've not really been able to spend it. Let's have a look at the level 1 again.
So Beitron spots out GLFS, Vampire goes for the root, and then just doesn't put the hook in time! Vampire, a player which has had ups and downs. This is maybe even a game-losing moment from the support. He's had his better moments. This is one of his worst, though. It ends up leading to Griffith dying too. On this Lilia, they go for the early invade. This sets them behind so far, and that's going to be a big problem if suddenly, you know, there's more gold in this mid jungle than you should have expected.
Well, no, at least Griffith has gone in and decided to steal away that blue buff on the other side. I think Beitron has an idea that this is happening, so the Lilia should be able to get away with at least the blue buff steal here, I believe.
Yeah, so that'll be the blue buff gone, and that'll be something away. That's important, because GLFS was going to be behind in the jungle here, play quite significantly. So now Beitron needs to be able to spot out whether he can get onto the other side of the map to get something away. He's going to be further through his clear. If he goes immediately over to bot side, he will be able to take away something in that bot quadrant, especially with his bot lane also winning through as well. So now Griffith is going to be clearing through his top side. Now Beitron will of course know that his blue buff is down. He might also be able to get a double scuttle here as well, which will even up that camp trade. Either way, GLFS gets something back, but it's not going to be a slam dunk.
No, it's not, and the problem is where the kills have gone. We've already seen the fact that the Zeri and the TF, who might otherwise have had to play a bit more of an even lane state, not going to have that happen anymore, and we've already said Cannon into Jack should be a pretty nice matchup.
Okay. So Beitron will see now the topside camps are gone. He will know that he's heading towards bot side, and he can contest for either the bot scuttle or do something else. Nani needs to... Nani, buddy, you can't be doing this.
He's in so much danger. Does not quite get hit by the Pillar of Flame, but the damage is still huge. Has to flash away as Brand's passive continues to sear him down.
So, with bot lane resetting from TT, Beitron didn't want to go for the bot side scuttle. He goes towards mid lane, though, and Nani should know that Beitron is looking to head from top to bot, even with the bot side reset. He gave himself an opening, and he knew that his own jungler wouldn't be there. That's a mistake there from Nani. Lucky to get out alive.
Still costs him a flash, will force a reset, and it gives free reset towards his TF as well, who's gone for Ignite, not a teleport, wants the laning prowess here. And that's always a scary position, especially because he gets to go back and immediately buy those steel caps, so the Yone is going to have a really miserable time for a while.
Also means that tier 2 boots really, really nice for the TF, because it means you can walk up and just threaten move speed advantage for the second gold card. You can also outstep the Yone Qs and stuff like that as well. So Nani gonna have a hard time, but a lot of this does come from the fact that First Blood went over to UCal and the whole map was changed because of Vampire's missed hook at that level 1. IG, they are even in the bot lane, that's fine, but the fact that, you know, UCal does get that first back and he's going to get himself into a position where he can ult with that Ignite for a very powerful point in this game is going to be something that they're going to be very afraid of.
As it should. That's some significant advantages that TT have gained early on, largely off that failed level 1 invade. We've all seen it. I'm sure the replays will come up. My flubbed call of a headbutt pulverize at level 1. He only gets one ability.
Yes.
I was like, no, he flash pulverized. I was like, it's fine.
It's like, buddy.
It's okay. Well, no, I played it off by saying that they headbutted the wall. I made a joke.
Anyway,
but I've had.
You're on probation.
Oh, yeah, I've had better calls. It's true.
Right.
Please don't leave me.
Well, we'll have our quarterly. I'm sure this will come up in our quarterly review. Right. So IG, they need to find themselves some way ahead of this game. Now, if they can get themselves, Nani and Wisecam, into a winning side lane, that works for them. I don't really think it's easy to do that now with Kennen getting up towards level 6. Very, very happy to take a lot of these harder trades, and with Nani falling behind in this individual matchup in mid lane too, could be difficult.
Griffith will spot out that ward just over the wall. It's a pretty solid one, that, for all of you mid laners out there. We'll spot out junglers looking for looks into the river / your lanes pretty well. All the while, Beige1 does what Brand does very well, which is just permanently burn down grubs in a very fast order. Nani hit with a gold card, but I don't think there's going to be too much more threat as he gets to Q3 overall.
Is UCal getting that pressed attack and making sure that you can get some good damage down. This is also a slight difference. A lot of the time you see the fleet footwork coming from the Twisted Fate. The movement speed very powerful on him alongside the healing for laning phase. Press the attack though, just really nice for the damage. Dragon has spawned. Grubs are already taken by TT. The fact that IG are so far behind in their jungle and mid matchups because of the mistakes early on into the game means that they're losing all of their objectives too. And you know, we're saying, hey TT, we need to see better play from you. They've not been playing very well as a unit so far. This is much better. They took that slack from level 1, which IG very much threw to them. And now they're really running off with it. Significant 2,000 gold lead to 7 minutes. That's insane.
It's
a really big lead there. And IG are now finding themselves at a point where they really do need to find a way back into this game.
And again, don't get me wrong, they scale well. They hit a point where their side lanes in particular become very difficult to manage at the 2-3 item mark. But the problem is for the laning state right now, the Kennen's going to have the early shove. The Twisted Fate is managing the Yone well. And if they get to play like this, their pick is pretty nasty, especially if UCal, a player who has in years past been so core to... Hang on, we'll hold on to that as the bowling ball lands. This might just be a strike in the mid lane. Fate Seal comes on down afterwards into the watch out. UCal falls apart.
Really don't know why he pulled the flash after that point. Flash early. Don't get hit by that swirl seed. UCal goes down, and it's a good play from Griffith to get that kill into the mid lane. Nani, he's a very important part of this team. If Nani ends up getting himself into a lead, he can start side laning. What does IG's comp do well? It does well when it's on side lanes, winning through individual matchups for Nani and YSKM. The fact that UCal dies there, that's an important moment in this game. Need to see if IG can capitalize.
Literally, the moment I was saying he's so core to the team, he dies like that. That's an unfortunate moment. And for Nani as well, who had been forced to blow his flash earlier on after a little bit of disrespect towards the enemy jungler of his own, gets vengeance in swift order.
Yeah, and UCal is definitely a play. Oh, that's fun, by the way. You put that ward down to stop, to start seeing whether TF is hanging to one side of the lane or the other. So you start with a sweeper there, and you can make sure that you can give yourself a bit easier chance to ult into the right parts of the map. We haven't seen, of course, that Twisted Fate ult just yet. Went for that ignite as well. So when he does get that ult, it's a very Apto/Doper thing, where one of the strongest points in Twisted Fate's game is looking for that level 6 with the ignite, where you look for that really good first kill to snowball the game. GLFS is going to get spotted. Is UCal going to pull this as well? He's probably going to have to be forced to flash away, and will do. UCal didn't push that up. Griffith immediately having to flash out of his own jungle.
Wise decision making there from Griffith in terms of checking where people are. Will still lose his red buff and the flash, and of course with no ultimate, his name was going to be a tricky fight regardless. So I think he's pretty wise in getting out of there in swift order himself.
Okay, so what's the next big things coming up? Grub's in a minute, and we have winning mid and top lane. Even with the killer mid lane, it's still a winning mid lane for the Twisted Fate. Place already going over to Hoya, who is very, very happy with this. YSCam, he self-counterpicked. I don't know what the heck was happening with that Jax into the cannon. I feel like there are some players in the league which just have such belief in their own picks. They're like, I'm self-counterpicking, whatever. I'm not sure it always works out for the best, but there are players like that out there.
There was a point when I think Oduwamne was accused of that as well, where he would try and play out bad matchups. And in fairness, he was very good at playing out difficult matchups. But I do remember there was a period, maybe 4 years ago, something like that, where there was a discussion about, well, why is he constantly in these awkward matchups? Does he just enjoy being in them and proving that he can kind of go even in them regardless?
Well, I mean, some players have made a career out of that, right? You could argue that Faker says, look, I will take a bad matchup and I'll just make the most of it. YSCam is getting massively outplayed by Hoya here. As I was saying, look, he locked in this Jax knowing the cannon was there, and he says, all right, I'm going to take this matchup. He's currently down 20 CS and 2 plates. And when you go for the Leandry's build on the cannon, you really do well versus stuff like the cannon and the Jax. They just can't stand up to you in extended laning phases. So YSCam eating some really bad trades right now. I think a lot of this is, again, a lot of this comes back to that level 1. The fact that GLFS couldn't get that early jungle dominance because of Vampire's really bad hook into the wall changes things so badly. Grubs have now spawned. YSCam has been pinned under turret. You have the jungler there already from TT. Beitron's taking this, and this should be free 6 Grubs unless IG can get themselves, what, a flash combo onto Hoya?
Vampire was a known quantity a little earlier in terms of where they were. They won't find the hook there on the other side. Now, going to lose the Grubs, be forced out of their own jungle. And now YSCam has to be a little bit wary here about whether there will be a further influx of Thunder Talk members towards the top lane.
Yeah, and you know that the Grubs have just gone down. What's going to happen with this wave state coming through from top lane? Because as it stands, YSCam, it looks like he's trying to slow push it out to get himself a recall. Hoya, he could recall whenever he wants, and they have, he has the teleport back up, but really need to see what he's going to do with that. Yeah, so he knows that his team's reset. He knows that IG potentially could be hanging around Fog of War, so he ends up getting himself a bit of a retreat in that top lane, gets himself that top lane onto his side of the map, so he can get himself a little bit more gold, get himself a crash in, so he can get himself a free reset, maybe using that teleport for a big flank rather than using it back to the lane later.
Might be the idea at the very least. The laning pressure has been good on Hoya as well, a player who has been pretty maligned of late, has had a really rough time of it in summer in particular. Having a great time here into YSCam, a player who, for all his flaws, has been known for his ability to dominate matchups pretty heavily when given the opportunity. And that's just not happened this game, and that's a lot of credit over to Hoya for taking the 1v1 and making it suffer in the way it should, in fairness, but has executed.
Yeah, such a big CS lead. Anyway, Dragon's up now. We do have teleport from Hoya. YSCam will be looking to chunk out Hoya or make sure he's in a position where he can't teleport in. If Hoya's managed his lane well, we might be able to see him get a crash in topside and look to either force a big trade under turret on YSCam or get himself a teleport into this next play. But I think, again, because IG is so far behind on the map, and maybe because they're afraid of both the teleport and the Twisted Fate ultimate, it's really quite hard for them to walk up and play these objectives. You can see they're going up now, but it's quite slow to start this. Need to see what's going to happen with the big globals coming through from TT.
Q3 just wide there from 1xN, who holds his nerve. I think I would have been tempted to E away there, but no. 1xN gets away with it. The Dragon was started by IG, but they pull away from it. Still feeling a bit nervous, and I'll note again, look at the objective count, 6 Grubs, it's first Dragon. TT pulling a bit of a TES in terms of securing all of the early objectives on spawn.
That it is. So, TC, really good game so far. Vampire has flash, has level 6. Beitron already hit, he should be going down.
Does get out for now. He's about to get engaged on with the Fate. Still pulled wide by the hook. That's unfortunate. Griffith and Danger on the other side as Yukal gets that one with a solid ultimate in. The Destiny Gate doesn't work as Vampire stake through the heart. It's a double to Yukal.
It's a double to Yukal off of Vampire, pulling your target out of the Fate Seal for the Yone. Miscombination again from Invictus Gaming. TT pull their globals and they get themselves the Dragon and the fight afterwards. It's not the biggest fight. Luckily for them, they took all of the Grubs, which means that YSCam can't even get himself the big advantage you would have liked to get from this play on the other side. It will still be a 3-plate trade in that top side, but if he'd had even 3 Grubs, it would have been at least another plate. Gonna go back into the replay. Yeah, folks, it's Thunder Talk Gaming on the roof. We have Thunder outside. I feel like that's very appropriate. Look at this, the hook. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like when someone is stunned in place there, maybe you don't need to put in that extra hook. Vampire's had a very poor game. Legitimately, Vampire's level 1 has already put this game into the state it has done. Plays like this is not helping the confidence factor for an already struggling support.
I'm hoping you guys are enjoying the additional SFX we've added to the stream. We're just trying it out, see what you think. It feels appropriate.
So, anyway, if you hear any particular electrified screams, you'll know what's happened on the other side of the microphone.
The stream cuts off because the power goes out.
Yeah, we'll not think about that for now. Thunder Talk. Harold started up. Beatron has been just everywhere on the map so far. If he had been invaded at level 1, if he was behind the Lilia, he would have been so in such a weaker position to deal with this. Really
hang on,
really
gold card is not pleasant.
Yeah, no, it won't be followed because there's no flash, no ultimate from UCal, but still, it means that Nani has to leave the laning phase. And TT, they're winning in the side lanes, they're winning on the map. Look at all the individual gold advantages. They have advantages every single role.
They have picked up 2 dragons, 6 scrubs, and a herald. In Victor's game, you've got no neutral objectives, and TT are up gold too.
I mean, what you do here is IG. You're waiting to win a side lane matchup that is going to be ever so long in coming. You've got 6 grubs coming in, so if you ever let someone hit a tower like this, the entire turret goes. Wisecam would have to all in to defend the turret. He's not going to be able to do that. Full turret falls. Gold share between Kennen and Brand. That's a nasty prospect for IG. On, who is the best player on IG, has been put massively far behind because of Vampire's mistakes at the level 1 as well. Not just, you know, giving the kill over at level 1, but also being late to lane, which means that they couldn't play through Nautilus Ezreal's strong level 1 and level 2. Everything has gone so wrong after that early game. I feel bad for them because I feel like their initial plan would have worked out really well, but misexecution has put them into such a crap spot compared to what they were doing. This is a composition which is even into their comfort zone. This is their identity. Yeah. They have, you know, dynamic early plays sometimes, but then they go into the side laning afterwards, but they've fallen so far behind that they haven't been able to do that.
And it feels like at this point as well, the side laning is unlikely to come online in any reasonable time frame because actually the TF is ahead of the curve. The Kennen has been allowed to lane individually into that Jax without any interference really, and those matchups aren't getting better really until at least a second item's completed, and I don't know how feasible that's going to be.
Well, I think particularly with the Jax into the Kennen, I don't know whether that's going to get better at all in an individual matchup. You can always dunk on the Kennen with multiple members, but I wonder what Hoya's going to go towards as his second item. He could even go towards the Zhonya's if he wanted to. I think the Zhonya's is really powerful in this game against the counter-strike. You just ult into the Zhonya's and it means that this Jax immediately has to back off.
Yeah.
While all this is happening again, IG, they have to watch more towers fall. They can't even all in towards this top side. Griffith might look for a big flash play. That's the ult coming through from Hoya though, and luckily the Demolish will secure them that turret. Hoya doesn't die, but he ends up pulling that ult just to make sure he's safe.
Yeah, and he clears out the wave with it a little bit as well, but Beitron is back in the driver's seat looking to make this a bit of an F1 challenge. Golkon Danani, who fate seals away, wanting to avoid that particular grisly outcome. Tier 2, still likely to fall even with the True Shot Barrage to try and trim the wave. TT getting a lot of value there.
Dragons in a minute, and I think TT will be very easily walking towards that as well. If TT get themselves this mid lane out of turret, I think this game is F1.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the game is... I don't like I hesitate to call games over directly, because again, there's always like the late game flank shenanigans and stuff, but this is about as over as it gets in a game state. You have losing side lanes, your engaged champions are very far behind as well, you're losing on the entire map, and you've taken 1 turret to the 6, or to the 4 rather, of TT. This is a side lane comp that can't play through side lanes. How do you recover from this?
I'm also looking at the fact that we just saw Arn understandably try and ult bot lane to try and stop the wave, but it means he has no wave clear mid into a Hurricane Shiv Zeri, who then gets free time, having seen multiple members bot lane, to just attack the mid lane turret with no real response from Arn. There's nothing he can do realistically at that point.
Yeah, I have to say, I feel really pretty bad for particularly Arn and Wisecam, because I feel like they're the ones which really at the detriment of what happened in this early game. Because one, Arn's lane partner completely instant at level 1, and of course Griffith died because of that too, which means he can't cover top lane in a bad matchup. If you get a bit of jungle coverage into the Kennen, maybe you can do something in this matchup. It's just not been the case because of the level 1. I hate to keep going back to it, but this whole game does come down to that. It sucks. It sucks the fact that you have a game which is, you know, quite important because you're in a do or die situation in this group as a whole. A lot of it comes back down to that point. IG doing pretty well to get some scraps in side lanes. It hasn't been completely shut out in the way that I thought it would be, but it's still scraps at best.
And in fairness, to flip it around, credit to Thunder Talk Gaming for taking the fumble at level 1 and then ballooning it into a lead like this. Every lane, I feel, has played out their advantages that they were given really, really cleanly. We're nearly at a death cap on the cannon, outside of a misplay in mid lane from UCal with not flashing early, getting hit by the swirl shield. It's been a very clean game from him on the TF as well. That's great news. At least we have seen YSKM get a few plates after Kennen teleported for that second dragon fight. Is likely to get a hold of this second turret. So that's still good news on that.
Oh, the ult's going to come through for wave play. YSKM has misjudged this. Turret shots coming through, but now there's no damage left for Hoya.
Still begin to order, misses the shuriken though. Teleport coming on through to try and defend this. Might be too late, gets to hop away. The burn might be enough. Just about alive.
Oh, the airy procking the Leandries again. Almost brought him down. I think UCal will finish it off for him. The flash out saves him.
That's clean as all get out. Manages to Destiny Gate on in, and here comes the rest of TT. Pyroclasm goes flying on through. Arn needs to flash away as the Blaze continues to tick his health bars down. 1xN wall riding into 4. Goes very deep, but Thunder Talk are bringing the lightning. Everyone else just about survives, but they're having to run tail and hide in their base.
TT, it ends up just being the 1 kill overall, but you can see the follow-up that they have. IG once again try and play around the side lanes, and once again are found wanting Beichuan's brand, really the architect of IG's demise in this one too. I think his brand has been his best champion, and you can see exactly what he can do on this pick. TT, the next time they find a play like that, it's almost certainly going to be that Baron. IG are sweating after that one. They just about make it out with their lives, but they've lost a leg.
Get the tower, and you can see why YSKM is really riding that line. It feels like the only way they're getting back in here is getting one of these solo lanes to be an unconscionable threat, while the rest of TT are grouping up for the picks with that TF and the cannon flanks. But as it stands, it cost them a lot. They are now down Soul Point. They are now down most of their outer turrets and a couple of the inners as well. It's getting very tricky to play out the game.
So, Hoya, he maybe could have pulled the ult earlier to make sure there was a bit more timely wave clear, because if another turret shot comes through, then YSKM obviously dies. Ends up delging out one of these Qs. But you can see just how difficult this game is if you are losing the side lanes, because the teleports on the other side and from either cannon getting to a play, or in this case, UCal using his ult to get into the play, makes it so hard to play extended plays out in a side lane. If you are not winning the initial kill, it is very, very hard to make things work. And I have to say, I really appreciate that 1xN just goes, look, they've just used all of their HP bars and all of their abilities. I can absolutely make this play. I love this. Great aggressive calculation from 1xN. Just about gets that flash out of lane. He doesn't get the kills, but still, I like the willing.
I'll also give credit there to Arn for flashing the headbutt pole from Feather there, because if he'd gotten caught, he would have died too. So credits on the quick fingers keeping alive. It could have gone a lot worse than it did.
So TT, now they're going to be putting Baron in their sights almost certainly. They have themselves double Leandries to burn it down, and of course they have the Brand Passer, which does % HP damage as well. If TT get this Baron off of Vision, this is going to be disastrous for IG. Another bad thing too, so this is just a general concept about League. If you are playing on one side of the map, that's where your wards are. IG just played heavily towards bot side by process elimination. They don't have that many wards on top side, especially not into the enemy jungle. They have a few defensively right now, but if it came down to looking for a flank, which is what IG need in a team fight, either from the Jax or from the Yone, it is much harder to get that. If they walk back through now TT and get themselves onto that top side, it'll be really hard for IG to stop them doing that Baron with what their team composition needs to do in team fights.
Nearly a third item here for the Zeri as well. Has got all the wave clear in the world. It's just shy. It's a little bit of defensive options. There's the Immortal Shield bow. This Zeri, already pretty obnoxious, getting more and more so. Ryalize done for the Brand. It's a death cap done for the cannon. Kind of go down the list, adding in the QSS from the TF as well to mitigate some of the immediate pick CC, I think is pretty wise too.
Yeah, now you have the cleanse and the QSS. That's really hard for GLFS to make an impact. And GLFS, it's been really hard for him to impact the game. The fact that he did get that 1 kill in mid lane, I think was very important. It's been so hard for him to do anything though, because both him and Vampire died at that level 1. They've been behind the game ever since, and GLFS keeps hitting these swirl seeds. It's really good that he can continue to do that. If he can force out a cleanse, maybe he can buy them access to this dragon, but how do they get into the goddamn play? They can't get themselves the big flanks they want. YSKM is trying to look for one with his flash, but it's so much fog of war, it's really hard to make the play.
Night is dark and full of Thunder Talk members. Thunderbolts and lightning don't provide much lighting, apparently, as we'll head over towards the dragon.
Wisecam, look at Wisecam. Look at that on the minimap. He is on the flank. If he can get the flank, this can change everything. TF does have ult. You can spot people out. Hoya is also on the flank, and Wisecam was just spotted. TT, this is where they want to seal out the game. IG, can they get the flank?
Hoya still an unknown quantity now, going to deal with YSKM. The fight continues. Vampire flashing away. Skullcode comes on in. YSKM into the backline. Gets jungle to UCal, but cannot get that much more dragon. Being taken all the while. Fade sealed lands onto one, but they've already lost the dragon. Soul goes down in the 1-for-1, and 1xN says X marks the spot. I have a little bit more than you think I am. The damage coming flying on through as the gold card onto Nady means he tries to get something, but the fate sealed is not enough. The soul and bound is not enough across the fight, and they will lose the soul, they will lose the fight, and they are likely to lose the game.
Oh, IG, they try and look for the Jax flank. It comes in, but the rest of the team can't follow suit. TT find themselves the Chemtech Soul. They'll find themselves the Baron. And while this game might just be an extension of a very poor level 1, the mid to late game execution from TT has been successful. The Ezreal is not going to be anywhere nearly in time to steal that Baron. TT walk away with all the goods.
Well, Arn hits UCal on the way out. That's your consolation prize. Congratulations, you tunked the TF who already has Baron. That feels like this game in a nutshell, really, for IG. We'll look at this fight again.
Yeah, and again, you just have to feel really bad for YSKM. Vampire goes in at the start, but he can only find himself onto the Alistar. He has a hard job. Jax goes in after all of the engage is already down. The Swirl Seed and the Lilting Lullaby have been used. Vampire's gone in already and just kind of bought the Alistar ultimate. One kill comes through, but IG, this is one of the big problems about this team. It's a hard game for it, but IG sometimes don't know when they should call off a fight. This feels like as soon as they don't match up their engage, they should have just backed off. They lose everything instead of just losing a little.
Problem is they've been losing a little pretty consistently for the last 20 minutes. Now down 8,000 gold, Soul, 6 grubs, 4 turrets, and now Baron on top of it all. I understand the decision is like, well, if we don't fight now, it only gets worse. But the problem is they try and it goes wrong, and now they're really in the hole.
Yeah, and, you know, credit to TT for this game where, you know, in the first round robin, they sucked at playing sidelines. They were so bad at playing around them. They'd overextend, they'd die of them. It was kind of bad. This game's been great for them. You know, you had, what, one mistake from UCal, in that mid lane where he kind of dies, where he could have just flashed a Swirl Seed. He just disrespected it. And, you know, this game has been really, really clean for them. I think that TT are a team which I rated quite highly coming into group stage. I wasn't impressed by their first series. This is more what I expected from them. Yes, it comes from a mistake being thrown at them. I'm hoping they can keep this up. IG on the other side, they need to have a better early game in that game too, because it's likely going towards a 1-0 down for them. This is the last teleport flank. Jax is going right the way back into mid lane. He's going to walk over wards. This is the only teleport flank that they have. He's trying, but they'll see him immediately.
It'll be a 4v4. They'll know what's going on. I understand the desperation call. Have they spotted him in a second or two? They now know where he is. A stopwatch is blown, but that's not the greatest angle as Feather trying to body block. It's not looking that clean from TT. A flash out, though, from YSKM's engage means they still lose one. And Hoya murders them all. The slicing maelstrom matching the thunderstorm outside our flats.
Oh, Invictus Gaming, they try one last hurrah, but all it is a charge of the Light Brigade, and the lightning crashes down on their heads. TT slap IG in the face in game 1.
It's a last hurrah, but more like a cry of pain. They went looking for a flank, and there was just nothing left in the tank. I credit them for trying, but Thunder Talk, we're never giving this game up. A stellar game of a stellar snowball from a level 1 misplay.
IG, they have just been absolutely knocked out of the park in this one. TT really impressed with how they play it out through their side lanes, play it out through their snowball. But really have to question whether that level 1 will come about again. It feels like so much of the game. Maybe you feel like we're harping on about it a lot. It feels like it was so important, though. And TT get themselves that first game on the board. Welcome back, everyone. Hello.
Hi.
I'm Alex, also known as Nymaera. It's dogs I have to close the windows because there's lightning outside.
And I'm Sam, otherwise known as Initialise.
Also known as Initialise, yes.
Indeed.
And by the way, folks, we're brothers. We cast every single LPL game that is on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, which is not broadcast by the official broadcast. So this is the only channel you will find doing every single non-broadcast LPL game. If you are here on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays and want to see some LPL, come here. We'll do it for you. Now, if some streams rather take breaks, we'll go and do other series. We're always here. We're always here doing the best we can. We hope that you are enjoying what we do. If you are enjoying it, please drop a follow. Drop Sam a follow. His name's in the title of of that as well. And if you're watching on YouTube as well, you can of course watch all of the other games which are uploaded there on the channel as well. All of the games which are broadcast on this channel are on either YouTube or Twitch in either a collection or on the YouTube playlist. In fact, I just made sure that the games from yesterday were up and available. And yeah, we hope largely you are enjoying yourselves.
It's been good fun. Again, the reason it's so dark in here is it's currently decided to be night outside because we've got a mother of all thunderstorms rolling outside the window right now. So it's been a whole thing. Oh,